Hello everyone, Niklsun here, and welcome to Coming Soon Movie News with Niklsun. This is a show where we'll be breaking down all of the day's movie news, as well as going over what it means for the production in general, such as casting decisions, trailer announcements, director announcements, things like that. So, without any further ado, let's get started with today's Hot Topics. Late last night, we got a brand new look at the upcoming James Bond film SPECTRE. Now, we've already had a teaser trailer for the movie, and now we have I guess you'd call this the first trailer. I don't think this is the last one because it still doesn't give away a lot, but we do get a great sense of the story, but more importantly, we get a sense of the feel of this movie. And judging by just how James Bond is being portrayed in this, even though it's still by Daniel Craig, who I think has been one of the better Bonds, he's been a much more serious Bond. This looks like we're getting into the more, I want to say, suave James Bond. I haven't seen James Bond in either Casino Royale, Quantum of Solace, or Skyfall enjoy himself, at least outside of just trying to look all serious while like, having a little smirk. But right at the beginning of the trailer, M asked James Bond, you know, what were you doing in Mexico City? What was all that about? And he goes, I was just taking some long-deserved vacation, or I believe what was the exact line? I was taking some overdue holiday, was the exact line that he said. But he did it with such a smirk, and the way that he carried himself, the charisma that he was exuding, like, it looked to me like we have now arrived at the James Bond that we are used to. In my personal opinion, the way that I see these films, the way that James Bond has been portrayed up until this point, especially now with the look that we got in this trailer, the first three James Bond films with Daniel Craig, to me, served as the origin trilogy of James Bond. He was becoming the character that we've known for decades. And now he looks like he has actually become that, you know? I mean, you see him commiserating with people. You see him, I mean, just the swagger that he's able to give off, the one-liners that he's able to do, but also there still is that serious aspect. This isn't all just jokes or everything like that, but the charisma that he was giving off, the lighter side of James Bond came through in this trailer. And maybe I just haven't paid that much attention to the last couple of James Bond movies, but I felt that was one thing that was lacking, was the fun. They were amazing films. Well, I mean, Quantum was a good film, but they were all really great movies and really great stories to tell about James Bond, but it felt more like a Jason Bourne movie than it did a James Bond movie. But it still had that James Bond quality to it. Like, there was just something missing. This movie looks like it's regained that. It's recaptured what worked for James Bond and what made world audiences love him. And I know that's kind of ironic coming off of Skyfall, which is the highest grossing James Bond movie of all time. But the one issue that I had with Skyfall, and this is actually the only thing that I had a problem with, was it was a little, now the storyline called for this, but it was a little too serious of a James Bond movie. And I feel like this movie, while still having a very serious overtone, whether it be through the plot threads or whatever the case is, it looks like there are going to be moments of levity, which is one thing, again, that I think that the James Bond movies have been missing. But like, recapping the rest of the things we saw, we get a good look at the massive Mr. Hinks, you know, played by Dave Bautista. You know, he looks like he's going to be a very formidable henchman, and he's got a Bond villain car. There looks to be a really cool car chase throughout the streets of Rome. That helicopter shot, I mean, good God, like, that was exhilarating. Even if you watch the trailer and you slow it down, you can actually see the people inside. As the helicopter turns over, you see them fall onto the ceiling of it. Like, everything in this trailer looks practical. That's the one thing that I have loved about the new version of James Bond, is the action is all done practical. It's a far cry from James Bond surfing, or air surfing, I guess, or parasurfing, or whatever you want to call it, on a glacier, running away from a laser beam shot from a satellite. Like, I mean, how ridiculous was Die Another Day? They've really toned it down, but really kept the stakes high in this new version of James Bond that we've got. Now, what happens with the distributor issue, or the rights to distribution are up, and so all these studios are vying for the distribution rights. Now, whether or not that has any impact whatsoever on whether or not Daniel Craig can still fulfill his final film in his contract is still to be decided. I don't believe that it would have any impact on it, but it wouldn't surprise me if it did. So I mean, who knows? By the time this movie comes out, it may be under another company. It may be under Universal. It might be under Disney for all we know. I mean, could you, geez, or actually, Universal is one that I would really like to see take the reins of it. Either Universal or Paramount, only because Universal, like, that'd be really cool to see a crossover with Jason Bourne. Paramount, I just think, needs it. Paramount needs a good franchise right now. I mean, they're struggling with Terminator. They've got Transformers, but that's more of a worldwide thing. And I know that it's just, at the end of the day, it's how much money it makes. But still, in terms of quality, like quality products, they don't have many. And so either one of those studios, I think they could do it. Although giving James Bond to Paramount, that because they don't have a lot of great franchises, that might actually hurt the franchise. Who knows? I mean, that's an argument for another day. But I mean, you look at Christoph Waltz, who looks like he was born to play a Bond villain. I mean, what was that line that he says? He's like, what was it? I'm the journal that your nightmares are made from or written from or something like that. Or I can't exactly remember the line, but I mean, it was just very... It got under my skin. You know, it's just his delivery. He's so good at those deliveries. I mean, naturally, he's a 2-time Academy Award-winning actor. But just the convincingness of what he is saying, like, I believed it. And that's rare for me. Like, I have never viewed a movie like most people do. I view it very analytically. I'm taken out by a lot of things. I will really like the way that a shot was designed and composed, as opposed to whether or not, you know, this scene, I could see this coming or I didn't see it coming or anything like that. Like, I'm very analytical with that, but I believed what he was saying because he's so affectionate with how he comes across as a villain. Like, he's just such a masterful actor. I can't wait for this. You know, this looks like it's going to be potentially the best Bond film that we've had in a long time. I think this will surpass Skyfall. I definitely do. I mean, they got the same team on board. They're just building off of what they did so well with Skyfall, but instead now they're adding in a little bit of humor and levity to the character of James Bond, and I think that's going to work wonders. Like, I mean, the most humor I think that was in Skyfall, at least from what I remember, is when he was talking to M, and M said, like, where were you, or something like that. He goes, courting death, or something along those lines, or enjoying death is the line. That was the most out of a joke that he was able to give, or that he did give, sorry. So yeah, I'm excited for this. I can't wait to see what this James Bond is able to bring. You know, I mean, he looks like he's really delved into the role this time, which I'm very happy for. So let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. The movie's going to be opening up in the US and Canada on November 6th. If we do get more information about this topic, then I will definitely update you guys on here. So Sony Pictures Entertainment is making a movie about emojis. I'm done. Last week, the trailer for the upcoming Alejandro Inarritu-directed The Revenant was revealed, and it gave us our first look at the new Leonardo DiCaprio, Tom Hardy revenge period epic. And this, okay, I haven't in a long time seen a movie that feels like this, that looks like this, like that captivates you. I mean, one of the aspects of this film that I noticed right off the bat, and it was one of the things that was first announced about it, was that Emmanuel Lubezki, who's also known as Chivo — I've never understood calling people a nickname if you're actually don't know them personally, but Emmanuel Lubezki came out and said that he is shooting the movie in all natural light, and that has caused a whole slew of production problems, one of which was the exponentially rising budget, the lengthy shoot. I mean, they had to, they were shooting up in Calgary, and the weather got so warm up there that they had to abandon it. But then also at certain points, it got, like, throughout the winter, it got so cold, and they were supposed to be shooting scenes that took place in, like, October or something like that. So they were supposed to be without hats and without gloves, and it was like minus 40 below. Like, it was ridiculously cold, and people were freezing. You know, other people quit, some people were fired. It's just becoming a mess. They've now had to relocate to Antarctica. I believe it's Antarctica. It's either Antarctica or they've gone even further north. They're at one of the poles, or very close to one of the poles. I think they're actually at the bottom of Argentina. But they're shooting the ending of the film. They shot the movie in sequence, which is very rare. That's almost unheard of for a movie to shoot in sequence. They always shoot it out of sequence. And it's amazing what we're seeing from this. I mean, like Tom Hardy famously, like you can tell right now, they're still shooting the movie. Suicide Squad is almost done filming. I mean, that's why he had to drop out. Everybody came out and said that it was, and I think I was even one of the people who did this too, who came out and said that it wasn't scheduling conflicts. He didn't like the script and all this kind of stuff. And now it's coming out. He's still shooting The Revenant. Like, he wouldn't have been able to go and do Suicide Squad, even if they had to rearrange the schedules for him. There's just no way that he could have done it. I mean, so with all of those production problems, it's amazing to see a movie come out and look this good, this thrilling and enthralling. I mean, you look at all the shots. You got the classic tracking shots in the movie. I mean, that last shot in the trailer where he's riding on the horse and the camera's kind of panning back and forward. He's shooting the gun off, and the way that the shots are composed as well. I mean, the one shot where you have Tom Hardy on the horse and he pulls his gun forward, and then Leonardo DiCaprio is like folded over his horse and he looks back, and just the pacing of it, the way it's everything about it just gets you just your adrenaline pumping, and mixed in with the music, the fact that you can barely hear the actors. That's another report that came out. Apparently Leonardo DiCaprio will not be talking a lot throughout the film. So it's going to be a very introspective role. It's going to be more about the acting, more about the actual physical performance than it is just his dialogue. It's going to be a tale of revenge and redemption, but it's also going to be a tale of soul searching. So it's got a mix of all of these different things mixed in with the fact that we got the director of Birdman and 21 Grams doing this movie. So 100% buy, 100%. Like, there is no ifs, ands, or buts about this. I cannot wait for December to get here because this movie just looks so... It looks so enigmatic. Like, just looks so grand. I mean, you can tell that they literally went to remote areas. They went to the edge of the world to film this movie because it looks like it was filmed way back when. I mean, there are going to be certain aspects of the movie that are definitely going to be CGI. I just don't know. Like, that bear, was that a real bear? Like, was that a trained bear that did that, or was that CGI? The arrows that are coming at the screen, that had to have been, like, that's just property. The insurance company would just not allow that. Even if it was a camera on an automated dolly so that no people were actually in risk, like, that's all CGI. So with Inarritu coming out and saying that, no, we can't do these things with CGI because you can't have people sitting there laughing, talking, and drinking coffee and staying warm and all that, because the experience, like, that would make the movie horrible. The experience is part of one of the reasons why this movie is going to work. The experience of everybody involved making it. Also, everybody involved watching it is going to feel this. Like, this is going to be another game-changing movie. It's an experimental film, absolutely. Is this going to be a $300 or $400 million film? I doubt it. It doesn't need to be. Well, I mean, actually, the budget's getting up there pretty high, so it might need to be. I think it's estimated right now to be around $90 million, which was far above what its original budget was going to be, which I think was about 65. It was either 65 or 70, and it's now up to about 90 or 95, and the predictions right now are that it might even reach up to 130. If that's the case, depending on the marketing budget that they put behind this thing, let's just hypothetically say they put a $30 million budget behind that, and it does hit the $110, $120 million. So you're looking at a $150 million investment. You got to make 250 on that, at least 300 to break even. Now, I don't think that it's going to reach that much. I think they're going to bottom out at probably about 105, and then probably have about a $20 million marketing budget. Like, Birdman had hardly any marketing budget. That being said, it became, the Oscar-winning movie of the year and all this kind of stuff. So who's to say what's going to happen come the fall? I mean, we're just, or come the winter, we're just not going to know. I would like to see this movie get a really big marketing rollout, because I think that studios nowadays take a little bit too much time in thinking about how much something is going to cost. I know this is going to be counter to what I've said before, but there comes times where studios need to look and say, we've got enough of a product on our hands that we're willing to potentially lose money on it. That's such a tricky position to be in, though. I don't know if a studio would ever do that unless there was a studio out there that just had more than enough cash, or more than enough of an investment in this product, or knew that, listen, we've got these other products coming out that we know are going to double in profit, so we can take a big risk with this. Like Disney does that at least once every year or two with a big budget film. And, you know, out of the last 5 years, they've had 3 major flops. So, 2 major flops and one very close to being a flop. I think it actually still did lose money, but it wasn't a huge financial bomb just compared to what it could have made. And I'm talking about John Carter, which I thought was a really good movie. If you guys haven't checked out John Carter yet, I definitely recommend it. But yeah, I mean, the tracking shots just look absolutely incredible. And the fact remains that in this trailer, we've really only seen stuff from about the first half an hour of the film. We haven't seen hardly anything from the last half, except for maybe that shot with Leonardo DiCaprio and Tom Hardy when they're shooting at each other. If that is indeed that, those are not different sequences. And just edited together to make it look like they're shooting at each other. Because you really only do get that one shot in the trailer of them where Leonardo DiCaprio is sitting there, and he's got his musket, and then Tom Hardy comes up and he grabs it, and Leonardo just does not let it go, and he doesn't even look at him. He just kind of stares down and just, don't you do it, don't you, like, that's really the only part of animosity in the trailer that we get to see between the two. And apparently, you know, he gets left for dead. Leonardo DiCaprio gets attacked by a bear and left for dead by his other compatriots, and Leonardo DiCaprio then has to go and hunt them down, which is a fascinating storyline. With Tom Hardy being the guy that he's running down, absolutely, I'm on board. Yeah, 100%. If you guys haven't checked out the trailer, click the link in the description of this video below and you can watch the trailer right now, and I highly recommend that you do, even if you've seen it, because it is an amazing trailer. That is one thing I would absolutely love to do as a full-time job, is just cut together trailers. I mean, that's one of the most entertaining things that I find about the entertainment industry, is how trailers are created. Not the voice guy or anything like that, just how they're created, how they're edited together to suit a certain mood. And I even do, like, I don't like the movies when they come out because it pisses me off, but I like the trailers even if they mislead the movie, because they're well executed trailers. The problem with that, though, is that they're not selling the right product. And so that's where that problem comes in. But as a well-crafted trailer, it does its job. And then you go see the movie, you're like, oh, well, that's not the movie that I was going to see. I wanted to see that. And so you want to see the movie that the trailer actually showed you could get, which is most trailers nowadays, because a lot of trailers come out and they look good, and then the movie comes out and ends up being garbage. So, but who knows? This movie is scheduled to open in limited release on December 25th. If we do get more information about this topic, then I will definitely update you guys on here. That'll do it for today's episode of Coming Soon Movie News with Niklsun. Thank you so much for watching. You guys have been a great audience. Go ahead and click that subscribe button there in the bottom corner. You can get updates whenever we post a new video. You can also follow me on Twitter and Instagram at Niklsun, Niklsun, for all of your movie updates. And also give our Facebook fan page a like at facebook.com/movie news with Niklsun. If you ever have a topic or question you'd like to have talked about on the show, put a comment in the comment section, or you can email me at movienewswithniklsun@gmail.com, and I'll try to get to as many questions as I can. But until next time, you guys enjoy the rest of your day. Take care.